Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unboxed God, where we detox from religion and discover the God who refuses to fit inside the boxes we were given. I'm Tolu Sarah Jensen, and here we explore who God really is, beyond fear, beyond formulas, and beyond everything we were taught to perform. If you're hungry for a real relationship with Him, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. So, chapter 21 of my current book, which I'm writing, which is titled Father, make me yours alone. Becoming God's robot, not by force, but by lie. And this chapter 21 is going to be the last chapter of the book. Fully alive, fully is the miracle of holy yielding. You become most yourself when you become fully is. Absolutely. Do you want me to repeat that again? You become most of yourself when you become fully is. There is a point in a believer's journey where surrender stops feeling like loss and begins to feel like, oh, that's a big shift. Where releasing control is no longer frightening, but freeing. Where yielding doesn't erase identity, it reveals it. Where the person God dreamed before time began is finally allowed to rise. Yes. And this is the miracle of holy yielding. You become fully alive the moment you become fully is. You discover that everything God asks you to surrender was never meant to define you. Every weight you release was never meant to stay. Every piece of yourself you yielded only made space for the truest version of you to emerge. So, yielding does not shrink you, it unlocks you. Wow, that's a rhema there. Can you catch it? Yielding does not shrink you, it unlocks you. And you have to get to that stage in your relationship where surrendering becomes painless, where you think beyond how you're feeling. Today, I'm not in my 100% best self, but I've told myself I will always show up. Even when I'm down, I will always show up because I've got to that stage where I'm fully yielded to Papa, to heaven. And holy yielding is not the destruction of your personality. It is the refinement of your authentic identity. It is the moment when the version of you shaped by fear, trauma, religion, and striving finally dies. And the reborn you, the heaven designed you emerges. Yes, do you want me to repeat that? And the reborn you, the heaven designed, emerges. Because there's a purpose for your life. We didn't come here to the earth to live, to have fun, and then die one day, and that's it. And then you get to heaven, and you still feel lost because there's still absence of something potent in your life. Surrendering. Surrendering is something that goes beyond your time on earth. It follows you into heaven. And if you've learned to yield your life while you're here, when you transition to heaven, you just continue to build up upon that. Our life doesn't stop. It continues. So yourself continues to be refined because surrender is not self-erasure, like when you erase something. It is self-restoration. The you God throws his arms around is not the religious performer, the fearful child, the traumatized survivor, the person striving to be acceptable. The person he calls his own is the you hidden beneath all of that. Surrender dismantles the false self so the real one can break. That's what I've come to understand. That you need to get to a stage where surrenders dismantles the false self. The false self is when you don't believe who you are, you don't know your identity. You think you're not worthy of God. You think you have to continue to prove yourself to be loved. You have to continue to serve. You have to continue to strive. When you're still in that mindset, the real you cannot emerge and the real you cannot break. But when the act of surrendering comes, then the real you begins to emerge and you begin to embody the mind of Christ. Because a believer enters union with the Holy Spirit, a profound internal miracle takes place. They begin to think like God, love like God, design like God, sense like God, choose like God. And this has been covered enough in all of these books. Sorry, in this book currently, in all of the chapters. So, this is not imitation. This is transformation. When you start seeing yourself, the mind of Christ is installed and the believer becomes a living, breathing extension of heaven's nature. And you become authentic. You're not striving for perfection, but you're striving for dedication. You're striving for being set apart for God's purpose. For the fully yielded holiness becomes deeply personal. No pretending, no performance, no facade, no religious mask. You're just yourself. And when your holiness becomes authenticity, being unapologetically who God crafted you to be, fully aligned with his heart, you begin to experience such freedom, such joy in God. A fully yielded life operates under heaven's flawless operating system. The believer is no longer navigating life on human wisdom. They are being guided by the perfectly timed, perfectly wise, completely flawless Holy Spirit. And you, the fully yielded heart, enters a supernatural intimacy where the Holy Spirit keeps nudging you, whispering to you, redirecting you, micromanaging you, but in a good way, protecting you, empowering you. And this direction touches everything. What you say, where you go, who to speak to, what you watch, what you avoid, what you do, and when to rest, when to act. Obedience becomes the flow of your life, not a struggle. And because the flesh is denied daily, and because love fuels every choice, obedience becomes instant. You, the believer, no longer debate God. You no longer hesitate. You no longer fear losing control. Even though I still fear losing control sometimes, but I'm so much better. And I know that this time next year, I will even be better. Because you discover that the safest, most peaceful place in existence is you being in the center of His will. And the striving ends, because only yielding ends the exhaustion prison of religion. I don't do that anymore. I don't have to pray 2 hours. I speak to God. Even sometimes I feel like, Tolu, are you supposed to pray because you've been speaking to God about something and the thing still lingers on? No, that is religion telling you that conversing with God is not enough, but conversing with God should be enough. When a child wants to ask something from their earthly parent, she doesn't need to go to that parent in a ritualistic way, in a performative way. She can just say, Mom, I need this. And Mom can say, what do you need it for? Oh, it's because my current pencil case is torn. Like my daughter asked me for a new pencil case a few days ago. And I said, what do you need a pencil case for? You've only just got a new one. Yes, it's got a hole in it. I said, bring it home. Let me see it before I get you a new one. So we are conversing. And your prayer can be that. Where striving dies, where guilt loses its voice, where fear is silenced, where the yoke becomes light, the heart finds rest. And everything Jesus finished on the cross becomes internal reality. All that you needed, all that I needed has already been done. The believer stops performing for love and finally rests in love. And that is where we need to get to. Like in our daily conversations or even conversation today, where we're speaking to Papa, Jesus, and Holy Spirit, and the saints in heaven. I asked my husband that what is the difference, Benjamin? What is the difference between living in love and performing for love? I think it's something in that line. And he answered my question that you don't need to perform to your Father to be loved. You already loved because you are his child. And there's so many matters today and less of Mary. And Papa needs his children to be Mary as well. You cannot just be Martha. When you are Mary, when you sit at his feet, automatically you become a Martha. But you serve out of love. You don't serve out of necessity. Let me rephrase it. You don't serve out of striving. You don't serve because you know if you don't do, something will happen. So you're serving like out of fear, not out of love, but it is out of duty. You want to be able to serve him out of love. You want to be able to serve him with the depth of your heart. And know the God that you serve. And know that he loves you. So, Papa is looking for more Marys today who will sit at his feet and relate with him. And when the believer's will merges with God's will, heaven becomes an internal atmosphere. In you, yes, you just feel like you are in heaven. The supernatural becomes ordinary, like speaking to heaven becomes normal. It's not strange. You're not thinking, You're mentally sick. You don't think something is wrong with you. The presence of God becomes a daily environment. So you continue living under an open heaven. I live under an open heaven, but that doesn't mean I don't face challenges. I face challenges just like any other person. But I'm learning to trust in Him every day, to form this deep surrender that creates a deeper intimacy. Deep intimacy that invites me into deep encounters. And in this union, heaven is not a faraway concept. It becomes a present reality. Angels, saints, prophetic dreams, you experience it. You speak to angels like you're speaking to your next door neighbor. You speak with saints in heaven like you're speaking to your best friend. You have prophetic dreams like as if you're dozing off. And it feels so real to you. You experience the divine whisper from heaven, and it becomes part and parcel of your daily life. You experience this supernatural joy, even though you're surrounded by pain, and you experience this unexplainable peace. The believer doesn't chase encounters. Their surrender attracts them. Yes, you hear me? The believer doesn't chase encounters. You're not supposed to be chasing encounters. You're supposed to be experiencing it, because when you surrender, surrender attracts heaven. Surrender attracts God. And you become God's hands and His voice, because you become fully yielded person that God can use as His living instrument. So you're no longer striving, you're no longer performing, you're no longer pretending, but you're just yielding, allowing Christ to live through you. You allow your hand to become healing, because Christ is walking through you. Your words become prophecy. Your actions become compassion. Your presence becomes peace to others. And you become the sermon. People see you and they're at ease, because they can see how you demonstrate love to them. They can see how the peace of God dwells in you. It's not something that you have to preach. It is who you are. So, everything surrendered is resurrected. You lose nothing. You find everything. Everything lost is repaid in eternal value. Everything released is restored in purpose. When you realize that the highest reward is not influence or ministry or blessings, the highest reward is God Himself. We've said it in few chapters of this book. And as we are closing, I'm re-emphasizing it, that the highest reward is God Himself. And to be one with Him is the ultimate treasure. To reflect Him is the truest calling. To become fully His is to become fully alive. And as we close this chapter, let's close with this analogy of the grand piano and the master musician. Picture a magnificent grand piano, handcrafted, priceless, designed for brilliance, yet lying silent in the dark room. Left in the hands of amateurs, it produces noise, strain, and heartbroken melodies. Left untouched, it produces nothing at all. But when the master musician approaches it, everything changes. The piano was built for beauty, just like the believer was built for divine purpose. Yes, there are notes inside it that no one else has ever played. There is music inside you no one else has ever heard. But when the tuning comes in, because before the master plays, the piano must be tuned. My children all play various instruments. One of my daughters play violin, and She came to me one day, said, Mom, I don't want to learn violin anymore. I said, why? Yeah, it's really hard. I said, well, you need to push through. That was about 2 years ago. Now she loves playing violin. Then she further told me, Mom, it's also difficult to tune. So it takes an art even to know how to tune your musical instrument. And every musical instrument needs tuning. The ones I've come across so far, they all need tuning. So the piano must be tuned. Your life needs to be stretched, adjusted, reset, aligned. This is surrender. Do you hear me? Your life needs to be stretched. It needs to be adjusted. It needs to be reset. It needs to be aligned. I'm not here today just by surprise. My past years has been God preparing me for this. And I don't know what He's using today to prepare me for until when I get there, there is better clarity. I don't know those steps ahead. He knows the steps ahead, but I have to keep surrendering. So the process of being tuned, of being stretched, of being adjusted, of being reset, of being aligned, that is surrender. That is yielding. That is letting go. That is letting God return every part of your being. And when you're tuned, what happens? When the piano relaxes into the master's touch, music fills the room. Not because the piano is forced, not because the piano disappears, but because the piano finally becomes what it was made to be. The piano is most itself when it is fully is. So are you. Yes, the piano becomes what it was made to be when it's tuned, and the master can play the piano. And the piano is most itself when it is fully in the hands of the owner. So we are fully most in ourselves when we fully surrender to the master of our life, who is Papa, Jesus, Holy Spirit, the Trinity. When we surrender our will, when we allow them to tune us, even though the tuning might be painful, but you keep growing. It's a journey. There are some tunings that I find very difficult. So I'm not painting it that it's going to be an easy journey. No. I don't know whether you know this song. It says, it's not an easy road. It's not an easy road. But the journey to heaven, but Jesus was beside every soul. No, no, it's not an easy road. No, no, it's not an easy road. But Jesus was beside me, and bright is the journey. And something, I can't remember now. Jesus is holding you. Papa is holding you. Holy Spirit is holding you. Even when surrendering sounds painful, cling to Him. The outcome will be better than you expected. So, that is how to become a robot for God. Not by force, but by love. And God is looking for a lot of His children that will be willing to be His robot by love, by choice. And as we close, I want you to know you do not lose yourself in surrender. You discover yourself. You do not become less. you become whole. You do not vanish. You finally appear. This is the miracle of holy yielding. You become most yourself when you become fully His. And I hope you've been blessed. God bless.